really good? What's really good? Back in the house one more time, Webs. One more again. It's Sunday, or should I say Monday Eve. We don't have to go to work tomorrow, which is awesome.
Facts.
Like very interesting scenario when you don't have to go to work, even though I haven't really left my room for like, like months. So it's not really going to work anyway, but it is what it is. The Intelligent Hoodlums, one more again. We are here representing one more time. Video killed the radio star. Some video ideas that we're going to kick around for a little while tonight. We'll see what happens. I mean, very famous song, Webs.
It's a mystery.
Indeed, we'll see what happens. But really excited. Video is big, and we talked about sound on Thursday. Video's dope as well, and our MTV. When MTV actually played music videos, like now it didn't seem like they played music videos at all. It was like I don't know what MTV is right now, but
it's like 0.1% of their TV now, and it's like at between the hours of like 3 and 4 a.m. and that's all you get.
Like, is MTV2 still playing music? Like, I don't even.
Is MTV still a thing? Like, I don't watch TV. I watch Hulu and Netflix and YouTube.
Kind of, and I like YouTube is generally where I watch my music videos at this point. So they're not like even when we were in college, MTV was still a thing. But now it's like definitely not a thing that I would watch at all as a.
No.
So that's very interesting to you, boy. Very interesting. But we're going to talk about video today. And as always, we're the Intelligent Hoodlums, www.intelligenthoodlums.com, at Trust the Hoodlum on the Twitters. Webs, introduce yourself, please.
I'm Webs, and I keep it real with smoked meats.
Smoked meat. Have you seen the meme where the kid is like, it's somebody they were calling their childhood and saying that their grandmother made them go take a cured ham class, and they're like rubbing the brown sugar on the ham. That's immediately what popped in my head.
Going back to MTV, my grandma. So when I was a kid, my brother and I spent a lot of time at my dad's parents' house, and they had cable. And my grandma loved the video to, oh my gosh, what was that video? Was it Soundgarden? It was a Soundgarden song. I can't think of the name of the song though. My grandmother was not the type of person you would expect to like Soundgarden, but every time that video came on, she'd like sit down and watch it.
Okay, so if Sylvia Lang isn't watching this, shout out to moms. Purple Ribbon All Stars. This is like mid 2000s. That's Killer Mike and it was Killer Mike. It was Big Boy from Outkast, number of Atlanta rappers in one like super group, and their like lead single off their album was Kryptonite. And Kryptonite was not referring to Superman's weakness. It was referring to, if you're a pop culture junkie, it was referring to something else that was green potentially. Now, my mother heard this song and she loved like this the rhythm of the song. And I cannot forget, we were in church one time and my mother starts humming the beat to Kryptonite. And I said, Mom, you can't do that, fam. You can't do that. That's just something you can't do. Sylvia like is watching. Yeah, I remember all these years later. So, what's up?
Cylinder has it. It was Black Hole Sun. Thank you for that.
Indeed.
I don't know why I had such a hard time remembering the name of Black Hole Sun.
The Teach. What's good, The Teach?
But I'm Webs. Software developer, used to be a teacher, still kind of a teacher. Like, that never leaves.
No.
Hey, I just put on all my stuff to renew my license, as a matter of fact.
Indeed. Mike Lang, I keep it on the streets. That's it. I be teaching stuff, perhaps, every now and then. I, like, fumble into pedagogy every now and then. Indeed. All right, so tonight we're going to kind of get talk video, and we're going to talk video in, like, the... hopefully a really interesting way. We're going to kind of look at virtual cameras, kind of look at a little bit of the Nearpod thing for our friends in Clark County, or like the state of Nevada, because you have to go show your videos. to record your lessons or whatever. You can really hack Nearpod so you don't have to worry so much about that component. I'm going to kind of walk you through that. And then, like, Webbs and I kind of, let's do some little bit of exposition. All right. Webbs and I kind of were conversing before we started the show about, like, there's the CD hack thing with the Elmo. And
That's going around.
like, that's really cool, but that's kind of sad too, right? It's like, it's like, you know, having to be that not even that's not even innovative, that thrifty to solve a solution like that because of the fact that your technology is that not good is a problem.
And that, or that you're not being supplied with the tools that you need to do your job. And so my comment when we were talking about it was, I feel like teachers' ability to adapt and innovate is both our greatest asset and our worst detriment, because being able to make anything work, you're just going to continue to be taken advantage of because, oh, well, you made it work last time, so you'll make it work this time. Enjoy.
Facts. Absolutely.
Like, although I will say, mind blown when I actually tested that out and saw that it would work. But nobody should have to do that. And I don't know how many times I have to say it. You deserve better. You deserve better.
You have CDs that you care about. Like, I wouldn't want to put any CD on my computer that I didn't care about.
First of all, I was surprised to find that people still have CDs.
Oh, I've got hundreds of CDs, but they're all CDs that are of bands and albums that I love. That if something happens to my iPad or my iPhone and it blows up, I still want to be able to throw those in my CD player in my car. So,
which is further evidence that, like, the people who have the CDs aren't going to want to use them to do, like, faux document projectors. Like, how about we just, I don't know, provide teachers with the tools they need to teach things?
Perhaps.
It's a wild concept.
Perhaps. I mean, the other kind of dope thing to do is if you're just looking for a document projector. This is how I always did it before. You get one of those little funky lampshades that have the bendable necks. You unscrew the place where the light bulb is. If you've got especially an older iPhone, there are tons of different attachments you can add to those things. Take the attachment, add it to where the light bulb screws in, and you can just bend it where you need to bend it to do what you need to do. Rice and beans, if you have big containers of rice and beans, are also very cool because you can go in. You can force your phone, either you can stack them up as high as you need to, put your phone on them. They're pretty solid. They're also malleable enough that you can move the beans and rice to left and right and fit them. So there's lots of really like DIY hacks type things to get things popped off. If you don't have a tripod, the beans and rice bags are really good for that as well. They'll hold your phone in between two bags and you're good to go. I mean, when you put your mind to being thrifty, you can do a lot of stuff. But yeah,
there's no shortage of that. But yeah. the weird hack arounds, like,
I'm not using no CDs
though. A thing.
Yeah, I ain't using no CDs though. So I do much respect to the people that discovered that. Well, that's like really grime-tastic there, buddy. Really grime-tastic. So we're going to start off with our Ask a Software Developer question as always. And our Ask a Software Developer question today is, Webbs, explain to us what bandwidth means and how that affects perhaps the decisions we should make with our students with their cameras on, off, or otherwise.
For sure. So bandwidth, if you think about, and this is a rough comparison, again, my technical compatriots, please don't come after me for my simple analogy. If you think about it like maybe a highway, or if you think about it like a sink, like a pipe that's taking water into it, you can only put so much water into that pipe before eventually it starts to back up because there's just too much trying to rush through it, and your sink will back up, right? So bandwidth it's the same way with internet traffic. Anytime you're trying to download a video or upload some information, you're using part of that bandwidth. You're using, space in the pipe. If you're doing the water analogy, you're using space on the road if you're thinking about it like a highway. Things that have more, that are bigger. So for example, let's say you're streaming a YouTube video, right? if you notice in the lower right-hand corner, you can adjust the like quality of your image. So it can be a low quality image where it is like maybe 480p or sometimes lower than that. It can be a higher resolution image, like a 4K video. And yeah, so like where is it? That's the three dots?
Nope.
No.
3 dots.
The cog. Yeah, there we go. So you see it goes out anywhere from 144p, 144 pixels, all the way up to 720. Some videos are 4K, so those are even bigger. That's going to take up, because there's more information to that video, it's going to take up more of that bandwidth to like ship it back and forth. In the same way that if you're having your students share video, that is going to take up, that's more information you're passing, right? So now you have not only the audio that's being shipped on your little highway to your computer, but also you have the video that's being shipped on the highway to your computer. And depending on like what speeds you have and like what your computer can handle and stuff like that, it's going to make that slow down when there's not. It's just like when you get a traffic backup during rush hour. There's too many cars on the highway, everything comes to a stop. That's why I know there's been a lot of backlash against kids who don't want to have their cameras on, but sometimes for people, it's the best option in order to conserve that bandwidth, especially if you have lots of people with their cameras on. It may be, you know, just using up too much space on that internet highway, and it's going to slow everything down. So that's something to be mindful of, not only with cameras when you're having students share like in a video meeting, but also because we do that, like that's a normal professional thing. The majority of my meetings, actually, I am one of the only people with my camera on. There's like maybe 2 other folks on my team who regularly have their camera on, and not always. And I have it on by choice. I like having my camera on. I find it easier for people to see. I communicate a lot non-verbally, so it's helpful to me that people can see my expressions. But so it's a normal, common thing for us to turn cameras off, especially to conserve bandwidth. And also when you're thinking about resources to share, so if you're sharing a video or something like that, making sure that you're cognizant of, or you're even empowering your students and teaching them how to shift the quality of the video so that it better fits their bandwidth.
Facts. So should we like shame kids into putting their cameras on webs?
No, for many reasons. I mean, the bandwidth issue is one of them, but in addition to that, there's privacy issues. Like you may have homeless students who are learning from a car. You may have students who are out in public spaces and they don't want to have their stuff on camera. They may live in a messy house or live with a bunch of other people that they're not comfortable sharing. They may have to do their work in a common area with a bunch of other family members, and they're not comfortable, you know, sharing those people on video. Like there could be a lot of reasons that folks don't want to have their video on. We wouldn't shame another adult into having their video on. Why is it okay to do it to a kid?
Oh, there have been meetings where people have been adults have tried to shame other adults into turning their cameras on. So no, there is a distrust of individuals without their cameras on. Like you're not actually participating in the meeting. You're not actually here. So it is what it is. The bandwidth issue is real, and that's one of the things we want to make sure that we reinforce that, especially given that some of our students are working with, in Clark County, 25 megabits per second. And if I'm working with 25 megabits per second or a Wi-Fi hotspot or something like that with 3 or 4 other people also trying to do lessons at the same time, which that has happened to me multiple times last week, where you're in there, the kid unmutes himself or herself in order to just comment like, yeah, I'm here, Mr. Lang, and you hear all kind of noise in the background from other teachers, and you're like, oh, this kid is in a room with 2 or 3 other kids trying to learn, and let me get off of this live video call as quickly as possible, explain to this kid what they need to do so that they can go and devote their computer and their internet's capabilities and resources to actually doing work rather than talking to me on that call, the video call. So
also another thing that's kind of surfaced this week here in Clark County is the amount how, pre-pandemic, pre-distance learning, folks weren't using nearly as much of their internet allocation as they are now. And so this is impacting not only students but also teachers, because we're doing these live lesson things like 6 hours a day or some ridiculous thing. People are blowing through their data that they have allotted, and they're doubling and tripling their bill from their ISP, their internet service provider, because of that. And if we were doing more asynchronous stuff where you weren't trying to do 6 hours of online video all at the same time, it wouldn't be blowing through all of this internet usage. And I had another point. Where did it go? It was internet usage, and if for bandwidth purposes, you could download the video instead of streaming it at a lower rate and watch it and rewatch it as many times as you wanted because it's already downloaded. So one more point in the column for asynchronous.
If you would, unless you were working on a Chromebook, and then there's all kind of like, I've just become indoctrinated into the world of Chromebooks, and I am not impressed. So if you are a Chromebook purist, I don't know. I was working with a young lady last week, and having her demonstrate for the kids that were using Chromebooks a particular process. And she downloaded it, and it was like, it essentially said when the storage gets too low on this device, things are just going to automatically be erased in order for the Chromebook to be able to function. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, my hope now is that I'm going to have to teach a kid who's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old to manage the storage on their device before the storage on the device manages them. And so continually to have them move their things over to Google Drive before they do anything else, they need to keep it. I don't know if hopefully there are teachers who are using Chromebooks are aware of that issue, that you can't just download things willy-nilly, that those things have to be moved over to Google Drive. Let's hope that that's the case. If that's not the case, then if you're watching this program, you have been alerted to the fact that the device will start to decide on its own that this isn't something that we need, and will continue going forward.
I mean, and was there any education or training on that? I doubt it.
No, I mean, I just found that out by hook or crook. Again, I'm an Apple user. I'm an iMac user. I'm a MacBook Pro user. I'm an iPad user. I'm an iPhone user. And I've made those decisions not because, absolutely because they're better products, but also because the fact that I think they help our students learn in a lot more innovative and creative way. I'll say that. Now, let's continue. Now, one of the big things of the last week was this whole, we got to record stuff. And do I record it live? Do I record it after I do it? Do I put things there? So, everyone, and I'm speaking directly to Clark County School District teachers here, everyone in CCSD, it's moving at a glacial pace, but everyone will have Nearpod. I believe if you look inside of your, if you're using Clever, the Nearpod license is already there. So I believe it's 100% good to go for everyone in the district to utilize Nearpod. That being the case, Nearpod can be your Rosetta Stone in order to definitely simplify the process as it goes through in terms of this recording stuff. And if we think about this not as asynchronous, but more as on demand, I want it when I want it, when I want it. All right. If we think about it that way, I think it becomes less intimidating because, again, I've just watched Bloodshot. That was an underrated flick. Vin Diesel's last superhero movie. Underrated flick. So I do, if you've got, I forget what I recorded off of. It was like last week, and I get the thing, and I watched it last night. I'm like, this is actually not that bad of a flick. Anyway, I watched it when I want to watch it. So same deal here. So we're going to go ahead and start off, actually, with Loom. So great. I love Loom. I love Loom because you can record stuff easy. This is Mentimeter. If I don't know if you're familiar with Mentimeter, it's a great tool to use for presentations. This is how I did my first week of class with the students. If Nearpod is really good, I think a great tool for if I'm going to have all the kids working on something, or if I'm going to, get that on-demand piece. But I'm just presenting information. I don't want to use Nearpod. Mentimeter is a lot cooler. You got multiple choice questions in there. I mean, and this is just, again, I'm plugging their stuff even though I don't own any stock in it. But they've got examples that you can steal from. They got different slide types. So if I want to go and say, yo, I want a word cloud about the kids' opinions. I want an open-ended question. I want just question and answer. I want a quiz real quick. The free version only offers you 2 questions per presentation. And that's pretty much all you're going to need. I just pretty much do it as a temperature check in class. But Mentimeter does not cost anything. You can log in with your Googles. Take the link, put it inside your Google Classroom or wherever you're going to put it. You can also share the voting link. So the voting link is how the kids are going to actually deal with it. There's a code that actually you could have them just go to Mentimeter.com, put that code in. Kind of difficult for the little ones though. Anybody can join this one as I have it, but I can also get the live results from anything the kids are saying. I can embed this. So if you're using Canvas, embed that piece right into your Canvas course and rock and roll. I love the tool. It's really simple to use. If you've ever used any slide deck program, it's not anything that's intimidating or overbearing. Now,
so it's something where, like, if you embedded it in, say, Canvas or whatever, they'd be able to vote asynchronously on whatever question,
they would be able to. They would be able to see the presentation. So the live session. Okay. The live session. Oh, and actually, this is the other thing. So if you configure it, you can configure it at your pace. So you control everyone's presentation, or you can have them go at their own pace. This is not as this is a lot better option in Nearpod if you want the audience pace to have a scenario, or if you actually bought Mentimeter. So if you bought the pro subscription, yep, that's probably a great hustle. I use it only as a presenter pace to make sure that every kid is paying attention to every slide that I'm looking at, and we're not getting distracted by the pretty picture that's on the screen or whatever. I pretty much built my presentations just with that white background, no images, just words and me explaining, so everyone is paying attention, and then your Nearpod or whatever later on. So that's at least how I use it. So again, totally, it's freemium. How I use it, I use the free version. So say I wanted to show somebody how to do this. All right, so great, fine, dandy. That's just me walking someone through it. I would download that video. So Loom is going to give me a very, very easy way to just flip it. Again, that's going to be our little rows up here. I'll record the screen. I'm going to download that. When I download it, this is something I very much am going to advise everyone to do regardless of whatever. You should have a YouTube channel now because you have a free YouTube account. Upload the videos to YouTube. You can unlist them so the no one can find them. You can unlist them if you need to. But going forward in time, next year, I don't think they're going to be as lenient as they are with Canvas. If you have all your videos inside your YouTube channel, next year when you have to deal with your Canvas course, you'll be able to plug those things in right when you need to and rock and roll. So,
but we're going back to the classroom. I won't have to deal with Canvas.
Again, if you're someone who's thinking long term and making sure that your stress level is going to be very, very low for the rest of your career, given that Canvas exists, you can build things into modules and then simply only deal with kids as an small group instruction, remediation. I can take a lot of the stuff that was in addition to and make those the centerpieces of my instruction and have every kid go at their own pace through the modules, have scenarios where we go and have morning meetings and, powwow sessions and things like that, but not have to worry about that kid missed a day. What did you miss, Bob? Oh, it doesn't matter. Bob can pick up exactly where he left off or she left off in her module in Canvas, and we're good to go. No more do I have to send home homework package or this kid's got sick or no. It's all in the Canvas. Just handle your business and do what you need to. This should be an opportunity for you to remake your vision of how your classroom functions in a far more efficient, far less stressful manner. So again, YouTube channels, you have it connected to your Gmail address that you've been given by the school district. So it's not like you have to even make anything that's deep. You're going to upload that video up there. You're going to get that video copy link there. And that's what we're going to go into have fun in Nearpod. So I'm going to kind of show you how I would do it if I were you. So here,
Okay.
go ahead.
For some reason, my comments weren't refreshing, and Cylinder has shared a bunch of comments.
What up?
The students are having continual problems at home as you're discussing. I have multiple choice assignments, and I talk to them about the things we can do nothing about. This is a worthy discussion. Yeah, it's so true. Glacial pace is good with me, and I want the low stress level. Don't we all? We all want the low stress level.
So the district has purchased a tool, and this is actually my Hoodlums account, so I'm not going to show you my CCSD stuff right now. They're brand new is this video option. Now, previous to this, Edpuzzle, PlayPosit, those were the ways you could add functionality to those YouTube videos. So you could add questions, etc.
I've seen a lot of people asking for codes for Edpuzzle too.
And so the Edpuzzle scenario is it's not as dynamic anymore because they have been either instructed by YouTube or restricted by YouTube to stop the voiceover portion for teachers over Edpuzzle videos, which kind of takes a lot of the extra horsepower out of that tool. So I would say at this point, given what the current state of Edpuzzle is, Edpuzzle and Nearpod are pretty much on the same level in terms of how these video things go. With the idea that Nearpod is probably given the amount of capital that's probably been invested in Nearpod over the last 2 or 3 months by school districts, they're probably going to be able to churn a lot more traction out of video than Edpuzzle is, because most people that I know that use Edpuzzle use the free account. They don't actually purchase that account at all. So
I think that's something worth commenting on, actually, because we've had conversations over the last few weeks about tech literacy and what it means to evaluate a tool and evaluate your machine and that kind of thing. Something to keep in mind when it comes to evaluating a tool or investing in a tool is that if it's good enough that you're willing to give them money, they're much more likely to continue to be a sustained tool. The trouble is when a tool is working on a free model and eventually it becomes unsustainable for them to keep paying people and offering a free tool, it's going to go away. And that's where people get frustrated. It's like, oh, I really like this tool and it went away. Well, if there's a tool that you really like and really care about, do your best to invest financially in that tool in order to keep it around.
Facts. So,
because I know we all like free stuff, but free stuff, it doesn't sustain a business, unfortunately.
Well, we are a free market, homie, and what free market means not free. So that video tool, and I'm going to tell you why I'm going to start here instead of inside of a lesson. All right, I'm going to start here. You'll see why I'm going to start here rather. Now, I like all of this because, again, I'm a big SciShow Kids fan. This stuff is already built inside of the product. So if I want kids to go and watch these videos and things that are already built inside here, there's Nearpod has its own videos, but I'm going to go to YouTube up here at the top. I'm going to paste that URL directly inside there, hit the return key. That's my Mentimeter walkthrough. Great. It's going to tell me the date it popped off, etc. Now, this is the weird piece. You're going to want to click on that. All clicking on it is going to do is going to give you the option of previewing it. So you're going to go down here to the bottom and you're just going to hit save. You hit save. It's going to say, all right, cool. Here's your video. Now, the craptastic thing about this is this at 420p. So it's really foggy here. It gets a lot better once everything is finished. But you'll notice at the bottom of the screen, it says add activity. Now, if I'm you and I'm thinking Bob, Susie, whoever missed the lesson, and this is my little recap of the lesson or what happened today. This is the walkthrough of the lesson or whatever. All I'm going to do, especially if you're like myself, I'm a tech instructor, I want kids to stop the video and go and do a task.
That's interesting feedback I've seen lately from particularly parents about how, oh, this video goes too fast. This video goes too fast. You can play it again and you can pause it. But, and I think we forget that. It feels like we just have to listen through it once and then that's it.
But that's where this comes into play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, you know what? Say at second 25, I give my first instruction. You've got to go and do 50 jumping jacks, right? What I don't want the kid to do is watch the rest of the video because they're going to forget what they need to do at each of the points. So I'm going to go ahead and add activity. And I'm going to put open-ended question. And I'm going to say, you should go and do 50 jumping jacks.
So many jumping jacks.
Right now. When you are finished, type finished as the answer to this question. Now, it's going to stop the kid. I'm going to read the question. What do I have to do 50 jumping jacks? I go do it. I type finish. Now, it's going to be a natural pause. It's going to stop the kid from advancing because I think that's the issue. If you think about how kids watch YouTube, and you'll notice that question is there. When they're watching their favorite YouTuber, the YouTuber is there just to entertain them. I can watch it all the way through, and I don't really care what Bob told me at minute 3 or 4. They're just running around the house playing hide and go seek or whatever. Using YouTube as an instructional tool when I actually want you to perform some task, I think we have to build in natural breaks inside of the video that indicates to the learner, hey, that wasn't for entertainment. That was for you. That was to instruct you on how to do a task. Stop, get the task done, and then come back to the video.
In addition, going back to the tech literacy piece, if the pausing in time or whatever is too much, this takes some of that cognitive load off. It makes it more automated and like a given. It's just going to stop for you. Go do your thing, come back, make it activate again. Like there is some work involved in making it go again versus work involved making it stop.
And it's also going to help mother, father, grandma, neighbor, whoever's helping the kid. Okay, cool. I know exactly what we're supposed to do now. Because that was one of my frustrations the first week was you end with a certain amount of certain assumptions about the literacy of the adult as well, right? So this is not to demean the adults that are helping our students, but those people have been in school for years and they weren't in school with electronic devices, governing how we learn. So having a little empathy for them as well. This strategy allows everyone to understand what the focus of the activity is, what the task I need you to perform is, and then I can add as many of these tasks as possible. I can just stop them every minute or whatever and say temperature check. I can do it for whatever you would like, and that's going to automatically stop the kid as they go through with no issues. And I don't have to worry about them watching a 5-minute video and saying, what am I supposed to do? Which happened to me multiple times the first week. All right. Once you get all your activities popped in there, you just hit the save button. And this is I'm just going to say demo part 2. Oh, not demo, but demo 2. The benefit from doing it as a video first. So you see demo thing and demo 2. The benefit to doing this is this. I can now use these videos in any Nearpod lesson I build. So it does not matter whatsoever. If I start here, I can build them all out. So if I want to go in tomorrow, build all of my videos for the week out, put them into Nearpod, put the natural breaks in there, I'm good to go. And I don't do the front of the class thing. I think it's annoying. The student pace thing inside the video thing, I don't really do that. The live participation, I want to build that into an actual Nearpod lesson where I can actually frame what the point of this video is.
You got yays on the task concept, by the way.
Oh, indeed. So you hit that plus sign there, hit that add a slide. What you're going to deal with is bada bing. That very first thing on there is video. It's going to say, yo, not only can I deal with all the videos that happen to be in here already, you're going to see that My Videos tab. I got my 2 videos in there. You would have all the videos you did for the week, for the month, or whatever, all inside here. So now you have satisfied the recording of a video of your lesson or whatever.
Because remember, the whole point of that was you just want to give access to kids who cannot attend live for whatever reason. Daycare, no parent around, sick, whatever. You want to give them that asynchronous option, and it doesn't have to be a how do I juggle, the what was the craziness that was like recorded on a second screen on an iPad or whatever, and then mute this one and then record that one and make sure the kids aren't seeing. Like, that seems like far too much. That stresses me out just talking about it. I can't imagine trying to actually make that happen.
That's you taking the CD with the pencil and taping it back to the computer,
yeah.
rather than just getting it done in one linear way. It's finished now. I can take those assignments and give it to the kids way beforehand and have them just walk through those assignments during the week. And when our synchronous time, that 10 to 12 minute synchronous time that we should be aiming for, any questions or whatever, I noticed as I was going through the Nearpod that people got tripped up on this part or that part or something else. All right, cool. Now it can be prescriptive rather than we're just talking about whatever we're talking about and just wasting people's bandwidth, people's data, and people's time. So those videos live there until I delete them, but I can have that. I want to use that video. Great. That video's in there. You notice it already has my questions and stuff. If I pre-created the questions already inside there, I'm at the save button. And I can just build with all the slides in there, just build the activities around it, send that to mother, sister, brother, cousin, whoever, and they can work at it at their own pace rather than everyone have to keep up with some of the assignments. Like, less is more, fam. Some of the stuff that the 35 things a kid's supposed to get accomplished in a day, and then the next day it's 35 more, and the next day it's 35 more, and this test and this other thing, match testing, you're starting. Slow it down, give them more choice and less activities so that things are actually meaningful rather than a bunch of busy work to make it look like we're actually doing our jobs.
And I think that's Thursday's topic, right? Is how to do less is more.
Less is more, less and more, less is more. So Nearpod, again, everyone should have access, the district access to Nearpod. If you're a Clark County School District teacher, if you go into Clever, you will see that. It'll be at the bottom of the district licenses. You'll see that there. Click it, and it'll send you right where you need to go. But that's Loom, YouTube channel. Even if you are not a YouTube fan, YouTube, we may need to do an episode just on like why YouTube is just a dope place to keep your stuff. Your YouTube, and then you take that YouTube and put it right in Nearpod.
Cylinder says I'm working fast. I'm not working fast. Student choice. Super important, especially for engagement. Choice is necessary if you want any sort of engagement.
Absolute facts. So, we're going to do something really, really interesting right now. You ready for that, Webbs?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready like SpongeBob.
All right, cool. So,
did you know SpongeBob was created by a marine biologist?
No idea.
Yep.
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Super interesting.
He died.
Oh, that's not good.
And families are included.
Facts.
So important.
So
he was hitting all the important things.
So if you're looking at my screen, you'll see my little Virgil logo. That Virgil logo is the name of my course. And you'll notice that I've got all these like really interesting things popping on my screen. Welcome, the setup, etc., etc. So that is what we call a virtual camera. So virtual cameras will go and integrate into your hustle. I love the virtual camera because it stops me from having to go from tab to tab when I'm teaching stuff generally. If I can go and just build it all inside there. And while the virtual camera is cool, it does require you to have a minimum of your computer to have a minimum of some specs on it. So when I kind of look at this, if you're someone who's looking or who's using their own, get rid of that. If you're
device,
yep, you're somebody who's using their own device, totally cool. You just need to have a newer device. If you're someone who's using a Chromebook, unfortunately, yeah, this is not going to work for you very much. So I hate Prezi. Hate it.
I did too. It makes me nauseated.
It's it's just like a super irritating presentation style. Like there are some people who do it very, very well. It's just click, double click, triple click, and then stuff is flying out and you're like, oh my God, I don't know where things are coming from. But I love Prezi Video. And Prezi Video allows you to utilize their desktop app. They both have a Mac and a PC app in order to do what you need to. Now it costs, $30 as a teacher, but the ability not to have to switch tabs when you're doing work for kindergartners worth the price of admission. If you're teaching
Also,
kinder,
it looks basically like magic.
yes, this is also true. So I don't really do them inside. So these are just the two I had from the beginning when we first started doing pandemics. I do everything I do from the app. And you can build everything from the app. It downloads, it works, rocks and rolls. The only issue I have had was when Apple changed, when I eventually had to upgrade my OS, my operating system for on my computer, and we had a little bit of translation issues there. Webbs and I tried to do a couple of shows or we were doing podcasts and something like that, and it wouldn't work. But I haven't had any problems with it since. So that being the case, here's the desktop app. All right. And you'll see that I can import stuff from Prezi. I can import anything from PowerPoint that I have, and I can create a new video. So if I hit to create new video, you'll see that these really, really cool templates are there. I can choose any templates that I want, and I see like immediately what those things look like on my device. Great. So if I want to have a news broadcast, for example, great, fine, dandy. I go to the content thing, and I say, welcome to Mr. Lang's class. And it looks like it's magic. The kids start oohing and ahhing and stuff like, oh my God, thank you, Mr. Lang, thank you. I'm like, all I did was type, bro. Like literally, all I did was type. I got to search an image, and they have images in, I'm going to click there, images in here. So say I'm looking for an iPhone. I can click the iPhone, and the iPhone goes right above Mr. Lang's class. And bada bing, we're good to go. Wonderful. This works with your Google Meet. It works with your Zoom. It works with the product we're using right now. It works with anything that's going to require you to use your camera. Anything. So that being the case, what does that look like? And this is also something, and as I'm doing this, I'm going to show you another little interesting thing you can deal with. Now, cool. So here's my Google Meet. I'm just going to start one really quickly. All right, cool. Excellent. So this is always gets meta when I see myself twice on my screen. So here we go. I'm going to go and say, yo, my settings for my video, I want the Prezi virtual camera to be the one that's defaulted. I can also go to my face cam on my Ecamm Live. Those are also virtual cameras. So that's the one that I want. Great, fine, dandy. I'm going to press my Prezi again, and you'll see video conferences. Since I have multiple things going on, that video conference deal will be Google Meet. It would go with Chrome, and I'll be able to rock and roll. I'm going to kill it. Close anyway. Thank you. Now, I'm going to actually default that to FaceTime because this is the other issue that you can solve with video. Now, if you're in the Clark County School District or any school district that's using Google Apps for Education, this is a strategy you can use to cut down potentially on entropy. For example, say you have a kid or a parent that says, I can't join your Google Meet, as has happened, I don't know how many times the last 2 weeks. If you click here, at the very top of the screen, it says add an in-house live stream. You can live stream your Google Meet as well. So the kid doesn't even have, as long as that person who's watching is logged into a mb.ccsd.net email address, they can watch your everything that's going on. They just can't comment. So if it was just a kid that was like, look, I cannot get in here for some reason, as long as they were logged in with CCSD, they can watch your entire class. Which, if you're thinking about that, why can't, and I know the teachers here, say we wanted to go and do 5 or 6 art teachers all working in collaboration, and we want to have one art teacher teach the lesson, but we didn't want to have 250 people in the class. Just give me the live stream link, and suddenly I can teach the class this week, somebody else teach the class next week, somebody else teach the class after that, and everyone is still watching just like they were watching on Google Meet. It's the same deal, other than I just can't comment, which to me is totally cool. Now, Would you do that every day? Probably not. But once a week, maybe. Yeah, once a week, twice a week, maybe. It's an opportunity for you to really collaborate with other individuals and not have the cacophony of noise that comes from people unmuting themselves, having background noise. Somebody knocked over their computer last week when I was on the Google Meet. We had like random yelling from behind one of the kids. Like that stops that process without you having to mute anybody. It's just, hey, I'm going to go through. I'm going to do just like it's YouTube program in which I'm going to demonstrate something. That stream lives on the web and you can do what you need to. Webs.
I totally had a thought. And then I got stuck on the whole muting, not muting thing. Yeah. It was about streaming. Streaming is good. That's helpful. Share. You can share. You don't have to worry about the camera being on. You can have guest people on. Basically like we do here, except there is a comment section on each of the like social media things that we're streaming to. But yeah, I think especially with the muting, not muting thing, it helps quite a bit.
So, I mean, that's really a big deal for me is that, and then making sure your kids have the captions on. Like, it helps a lot. Shout out to Heidi Carr, too, for the translations of the captions and kind of walking through that. That was a helpful strategy for me last week with a lot of my Spanish-speaking parents and the abuelos and abuelitas that were helping out their kids, being able to have them see on the screen the Spanish. That was really dope. But that adding an in-house live stream, really a great strategy to utilize, especially if you're a third grade teacher when you work with other third grade teachers and we want to have one class be the class and everyone else just watch. Go ahead, Webbs.
I was just thinking, so we started out by talking about how we talked audio on Thursday and now we're saying video killed the radio star. All of this is for your tool belt. Yep. Like, different things apply to different situations. It's about having these tools and then knowing the strategies to be able to use them effectively so that you know the balance you need to. It's kind of like Chopped. That's kind of how I think about it. And so with Chopped, like you get a basket of ingredients and you have to make something out of that basket of ingredients. You have to have certain skills. So you have to know if you end up with fish in your basket, how do you take apart a whole fish, or how do you cook a whole fish, if that's what you get in your basket. Certain ingredients require, there's a comment, it says, I do not have those settings, pop-up windows. I do not have the live stream settings.
Make sure you're logged into the CCSD email. So check your email.
As a general pro tip, if you're not seeing things as you would expect, sign out of everything in Google and then just sign in with the one account you're targeting. Because Google gets confused sometimes. The number of times I've switched to my calendar and it's a different account. But yeah, so going back to the whole Chopped thing, it's about knowing the techniques in order to blend these things together, and knowing techniques so that you know when to use which tool. Like you're not going to use, you're not going to use a paring knife to try to take apart a fish. That's just not something you're going to do.
Absolutely. So we talked a little bit bandwidth. We talked about on-demand stuff with Nearpod. We talked about virtual cameras. Now, for our mad scientist type people who kind of were enamored with I can use the CD player to be my document camera. Now, I am going to show you, and I'm going to say this to my Mac friends out here. If you've got a Macintosh computer, you're going to be able to do this. If you don't have a Mac,
yeah. We're getting real specific on the tech right now.
So, one of the things that I started to play around with the first week was I wanted to have all my devices be accessible to me at one time on my computer. So that if I wanted to leave my phone downstairs connected to a document camera or tripod that was filming something, have my iPad here to demonstrate something in my FaceTime webcam on. How could I put all three of those cameras into my presentation so kids could see all of those things at the same time? So this is how you can do it. If you really want to just blow some little kid's mind, oh my God, you are the greatest of all time. Now, here we go. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize this. So you see my desktop back there, which is awesome. Now, the first thing I'm going to do there is I'm going to come up to my Spotlight and I'm going to push QuickTime. I'm going to open QuickTime Player, and QuickTime's going to pop up. I don't need any of that, so I'm going to do that. Cool. And I'm actually going to do that as well. All right, cool. Now watch what I do now. So my iPad is connected physically to my computer. Physically connected. Once it gets physically connected, up at the top up here, you can't see that very well, but QuickTime is up here at the top of my computer. Hit the File button and New Movie Recording.
You're super zoomed in, by the way.
I know. Shucks. All right, you should be good now. Cool now?
I can't tell because my screen for seeing your stuff, it has frozen, so I'm watching on delay on our live broadcast.
All right, it's all good. All right, here we go. Let me go to QuickTime very quickly.
So I'm going to trust that I'm frozen in 2 places, actually, which is super interesting.
Interessante. All right,
yeah.
All right, so hit File and then New Movie Recording at the very top of my screen. And when I do that, I'm going to get here's my iPad right there. So iPad is here. Step 1 is done. So got my iPad on my screen. Great, fine, dandy. So I've got iPad. I've got my FaceTime computer. So you can see me in the actual broadcast. My iPad is also there. So if I wanted to go to Nearpod here, I can open Nearpod here and show kids how to use Nearpod, right? Great. Now I'm like, hey, you know what? I also want my camera on because perhaps I've got some kind of book or something that's in front of me and I want kids to see my book as well. So I'm going to say, you know what? Let me go and bring my camera, my phone in there. So I'm going to hit the reflector. I'm going to type reflector inside here. Reflector, about 15 bucks, 13 bucks now. So reflector. Awesome sauce. So I'm going to hit the reflector deal here. So I got my camera there. That's my iPad. Reflectors here. So let me open that. Reflectors there. So I'm going to go hide my trusty cell phone is here. Scroll down, top right hand corner of my phone. And there we go. I've got my phone on my screen as well. So I've got my phone here. I've got my iPad here. I got my FaceTime device. So I've got all of those things here. I can go back and forth between those windows. So if I had my phone down looking at a book or whatever, there it is my lovely wife is my background there. My iPad is there, and then my desktop is there as well. So if you needed to have all of your devices on at one time, it is possible to have all your devices on at one time and be able to utilize those. So if I wanted to go here to like, I don't know, if I want to do Tiny Tap on this, I've got my Tiny Tap here, bada bing. I can do what I need to do. I can go back and forth between all of them.
So you have your iPad connected on QuickTime. You have your phone connected on Reflector, and you're mirroring all of that to your Google Meet.
Yep.
Nice. I would pair, not Reflector, what's the other one?
AirServer.
AirServer. I used to use AirServer, connect my phone, and use the camera as my document camera when I was a humanities teacher.
So I mean, there's ways to get all your stuff there. It's a little bit of ingenuity, but you can put all your devices on your computer. Now, this is a lot simpler when you're doing Mac to Mac to Mac to Mac. Whether that there is AirServer for PCs, it's wonky and it doesn't work as well in my opinion. You can also bring in, if you really want to be uber sexy, you can bring in your Apple TV into the equation as well with AirSquirrels. So you could I have 2 Apple TVs in the house. I brought them onto my device with 2 different shows onto my iMac. You need a lot of RAM in order to do this, but both of my Apple TVs, my iPad in my phone, and I ran the Google Meet with my FaceTime camera on. Lots of things going on, but there are use cases for why you might want to do that. So
I'd be interested to hear from somebody if anybody has played with Chromebooks and Chromecast, because I have a Chromecast, but I don't have a Chromebook. So I'd be curious to know if there's any kind of funky stuff similar to this you can do with Chrome and a Chromebook and Chromecast.
I also want to know, have they finally password protected Chromecast?
Yes, they have.
They have. Okay, so that was my biggest thing. We had a Chromecast. We brought a Chromecast for our TV up in the front office. And as soon as we brought it, we had kids beaming like rap videos and stuff to the office. So we had to go and um, create a separate network just for the Chromecast so that kids couldn't just beam to it, which was hilarious. But that's how you would do. You could put all of your devices on one hustle, potentially, if you were someone who was like looking for that functionality. You just like, hey, look, let's see how many devices we can throw in there. In reality, you could connect 2 devices physically to your iPad, and then have 3 or 4. Actually, you could put how many USB-Cs are in the brand new ones? 3. I think it's 3 USB-Cs. You could physically connect 3 Apple devices physically to your device, and
I think the dog is eating tortillas. 1 second.
He's eating tortillas. Indeed. We have a Kofax is eating tortillas. Anyway, talk bandwidth. We talked on demand with Nearpod. That's how I would do the on demand stuff if I were you, in terms of the videos and things like that. Virtual cameras, the Prezi Video is the easiest virtual camera to deal with. Connecting all your iPads and stuff. And the last thing I'm gonna kind of show you is Singular Live. Was he eating
Never
tortillas?
a dull moment. Never a dull moment.
He was eating tortillas?
No, he got a wrapper.
Oh, okay.
Tortillas are safe.
The other thing, if you're someone who has a device that's it doesn't have to be a high-end device. It just has to be a device that's newer and not a Chromebook. Singular Live is very, very dope. And it's one of the things I'm playing with for this week in my class. So Singular Live lets you go and put overlays and stuff into your virtual cams. And I'm gonna go log in really quickly.
Oh, so you can be like a real like broadcasting.
You can make it really, really cool. So in terms of this, and again, this is the I'm on the free plan. I'm not gonna pay for this. It's like a ton of money. Like, it's really expensive. But you can't. There is a school plan. You have to go like prove that you're working at a school and figure things out or whatever. But I don't have anything there. Let me go to that.
I feel like this is not something that's meant for a school. It's meant more for like, live streaming.
This is really school. Like this is really something you could do at the school without, as long as you had the devices necessary to do it. All right. It's really, really straightforward. Actually, it's really dope. And you have all these really cool templates that will make your stuff look so dope. So I'm gonna hit this lunar one. All right, great.
Ooh, that's the one I was attracted to as well.
You throw that. Got metal here. All right, great. It shows you all the stuff that pops up. All right, cool. Now, when I first started playing around with it, I was like, oh man, this may be a little too much. But then I was like, you know what? They make it so user friendly that you could have children do this. So I'm gonna go and pop in here. I'm gonna put core in here. All right, cool. So the only thing you kind of have to deal with is, so if you look at this, I was going to use this my first day of class, and I ended up taking out of it because I didn't want to fool with it. So here we go. And you'll notice that there is an output URL there, right? I'm going to click that. That's what I want. I'm going to copy that. All right, cool. So watch what's going to happen. So I'm going to move this over.
This reminds me of the Adobe video making software. What is it called? Preview? Premiere. Yeah.
That's not. Hold on a second. There we go. All right. So watch what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go and I'm going to click that. And I'm going to get rid of that. Yep. Add that. All right. Cool. So I'm gonna go with
You
that.
think I'm letting you out? You're kidding yourself.
And if you look at our screen now, you should see that overlay up there. Virgil Labs, August 24th, 2020, www.virgillabs.com. So on my screen now, I have that deal there. I'm going to click there. You'll notice that it's here twice because I'm still inside the video. So let me click that, and I'm going to get rid of that. And you'll notice that I've got this overlay right there that I'm moving around. The overlay is also inside the actual deal. So I have it twice here. All right. I can get rid of one of them, but whatever. So I've got my overlays there. I'm going to click that one out. Cool. So I can put that overlay on it. It looks just real slick. It's just on top of it. Great. You can have things move in and out or whatever. You can edit the overlay as you go through. It's really, really a cool little thing. Do you have to have a newer computer to do it? Yes. But at the same time, if you have a newer computer, this is just a website. I copied the URL and then pasted it inside of my virtual cam. That's all I did. So you can make it really, really slick. It doesn't cost a thing. I'm on the free plan, and you can really make your stuff look uber dope without having to like spend a whole bunch of time designing it. So that one's for free. Singular.live is the name of the website. So singular.live is the name of the website.
I shared it in the comments.
Very, very dope. Again, doesn't cost anything. The price, when you start looking at the price, you won't be able to afford it. It's ridiculously expensive. But it's really cool that they give you the opportunity to kind of play around with the software and download and do what you need to do with it.
And sometimes if you start messaging them and say, hey, I'm a teacher, blah, 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 they'll either cut you a deal or they'll start thinking, hey, there's a market for education here. We need to move our prices accordingly.
Oh, there is a school, they will give you a school process. They just have to, so right now they're evaluating my need case. It might take a while for them to evaluate your need case, but they also want the tool to be used for broadcast classes. So if you're someone who's going to do media classes, they want you to use their tool in order to teach kids how to do broadcast media. So
there's a great question in the chat, and that is, can you be specific on what is a newer computer, like 1 to 2 years old?
So let's talk about specs.
Yeah. So this is where it is not necessarily about age, because you could buy a brand new computer. We're using that generally, but you could have a brand new computer. Let's say you bought a brand new Chromebook, fresh out of the box, 4 gigabytes of RAM, and like 60 gigabytes of hard drive space. That's a brand new computer. It's still not going to be able to run this. And this is where understanding specifications is super duper important. You have to look at, usually on websites, do you happen to know on there where it shows where the specs are?
So that device, that is, all you need is a virtual cam in order to run that. So it's not the Singular Live specs are totally unimportant. It's, can your computer handle a virtual cam? So
okay, yeah.
I'm going to show some virtual cams real quick. And let me say this. You actually, if you really want to be funky with it, as long as you're not, the problem with the Chromebook is the storage on a Chromebook is so craptastic generally that you might not have space to run stuff. But here are some things that you could use from the web that you wouldn't have to download. So
I'm going to disagree with you on that.
Right.
I don't think it's just about the storage space. I think on a Chromebook, it's also about the random access memory. So being able to run things
they have
quickly.
4 gigs though, right? 4 gigs.
Yeah, in most cases, yeah.
Streamlabs will run on 4 gigs. Now, are you going to be able to do everything that everyone else does? Nah, but...
Okay, so go to the specs for this particular site or whatever tool. Because I really want to get into what does it look like to look at the specs and compare, because that will answer this question.
So this, for example, this one, in order for me to download the actual piece of software, I've got to have Mac OS 10 plus. So that would be what, Catalina?
I have no idea. I'd have to go look it up. I don't know them by number. But that in and of itself is an important thing, right? So you have that Mac. It tells you have to have a Mac. So it's not going to run on a Chromebook if you download it. It's not going to work on Windows unless the reason why it's doing this is because it's detecting what your operating system is.
There's a Windows version.
So sometimes what'll happen is it'll detect what your computer system is running and it'll give you that automatically. And then the other piece on there was it showed like 402 megabytes or something. MBs is megabytes.
Yep.
And that's how much space you have to have, which isn't a lot of space. It's 1024 megabytes makes up a gigabyte.
Yeah.
So, and you can Google that if you're not sure about it. Does it have?
Let me see specs. Nah, this one have specs just straight out the box.
Try specifications. Oh, there you go. Go down. Hardware, software. Oh no, that just has hardware. The specification should tell you it runs like you have to have, 4 gigabytes of RAM, or we recommend you have 8 gigabytes of RAM, or
the thing that attracted me to Streamlabs was if you start getting deep inside of it. Again, I go into rabbit holes all the time with this kind of stuff. It's essentially they have this built so that anybody on any platform can deal with it. The other thing to remember is Streamlabs, for example, has a phone app as well that will allow you to stream from your phone. So I don't know what the specs are for the phone deal either. The other thing was the S deal.
Streamlabs.com/specs.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah. Oh, wait, maybe not. It's not showing anything. Never mind.
So, one of the things that I did, like when I didn't have a high-end computer, is I would just download crap, and if it didn't work, I deleted it. So I was pretty much, I am an exploratory technical person. I have used OBS before. I wouldn't if you don't know what you're doing, I wouldn't fool with that. That was very frustrating experience like 3 or 4 years ago when I started fooling around with that. But Streamlabs I like because it looks like your kid's gaming stuff. So, and the widgets are pretty slick. So actually, the Prime is kind of the best thing. So you don't have to worry about this. I'm just going to show you examples. If you notice what those widgets look like, they're really, really attractive. They'll stream down and whatnot. They have overlay makers. One of the things we're going to do, hopefully, is I'm going to show you how to build your own overlays so you don't have to spend money doing it. And actually Thursday show, I'm going to build some overlays and throw them on our show just because it's fun to do. But all these panels and stuff like that, you can take Canva, Keynote, anything that's a slide deck, you can make slide decks and build your own overlays inside of them as well. They won't move as well, but it is what it is. But that's totally off the reservation. So Webs, if you go and find the specs, we can send those out to people later on.
You know what? I found the page for do a search for Prezi Video specs.
Okay.
Because I really want to show a breakdown of what specs look like and how you decipher what they say.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I think it's that top one.
All right. So on Windows.
So it tells you the minimum requirements, and you can do this with any tool or any product. Just Google the thing and specs. Specs is short for specifications. It says you have to have minimum of 4 gigabytes of RAM. Will this run on, and you have to have an Intel Core i3 2 gigahertz processor, which I'm pretty sure that's not what you're going to find on a Chromebook. You also have to have an NVIDIA GeForce graphics card. Yeah, this isn't going to run on a Chromebook. And it requires 200 to 300 megabytes of hard drive space, as well as 2 gigabytes free on your computer. For a Mac, again, minimum 4 gigabytes of RAM. You need a computer that supports Metal, which means a model year 2012 or newer. Same spacing requirements. What about Prezi Video on the web? What does it say? You'll need to use Google Chrome. That's another specification issue you might run into, is certain things will only run in certain browsers. So if you try to run this on Firefox, it probably wouldn't work. Same with Internet Explorer, which is dead now, but still.
This could work then on. I'd be interested to see. I'm gonna have to cop me a crappy Chromebook from someplace and see if it could works on the web. As long as I'm in Google Chrome, one would assume that Chromebooks always update to the latest version of Chrome. Yes, no, maybe.
Depends, but like my old MacBook still wouldn't run this from the web. and it had 8 GB of RAM, and it wasn't like super. I mean, it's only like 10 years old, but I wouldn't. I would be surprised if it works on a Chromebook. Somebody should try and let us know, but I would be surprised if it works on a Chromebook.
Yeah.
But that's how you go through and look at specs. And I'm not sure what it looks like on a Chromebook, but I know on a Mac, you go to the little Apple and go to About This Mac, and it'll show you all the specifications for your machine. On a Windows machine, I believe if you click the little Windows thing and in the search bar, you search for like specifications or what else is it called? Do do do. Like a system report or something, it might give you the information you need that tells you like how much memory you have. Memory is measured in usually gigabytes of RAM, random access memory. Any more graphics cards aren't usually a super big problem unless you're trying to run something that's graphically focused. So that's something to keep in mind. And then making sure that your operating system matches with whatever the tool is. That's going to be another, that and hard drive space. Hard drive space is going to be another big one. So that's what it looks like to break down the specs. So when we say a new machine, really what we're saying is we're aiming for more higher end specs. You just have to look at what the product is. And there's a comment from Bree. We had to manually do updates last week on school issued Chromebooks.
If you're talking about, say I'm in the market for a brand new computer, what should if I'm somebody who's a teacher who's going to be hopefully perhaps doing distance learning for the rest of the school year, also being expected to do these kind of lessons going forward, what should I prioritize in terms of purchasing a computer?
I would say aim for 8 GB of memory or higher. 16 would be better. Because I think that's going to be where a lot of your intensity comes from, is from that switching and running lots of programs. So you're running a Google Meet, you're trying to do a presentation, you have tabs open in your browser. That's where a lot of your intensity is going to come from. So that's what my suggestion would be, is aim for more RAM. You can always add, if you really need to, external hard drives to expand how much hard drive space you have. It's a bit cumbersome, but like you can expand your hard drive space. It's usually more difficult and requires a little more technical ability to expand your memory. So I would aim for something with lots of memory. There was an ADE, and I can't remember who it was, years ago, who told me when he purchases devices, he always aims for as high end as he can possibly afford. And the reason for that, with the maximum specs he can afford, for the reason that usually it will last him a very long time. Because if you aim for those higher end specs, you don't have to replace the devices earlier, because you've paid for a terabyte of memory. You've paid for 64 gigabytes of random access memory. So that I have followed that advice since I got it, and it has served me very well. I know that not everyone is in a place where that's an affordable solution, but I think it's scalable. So it's as much as high end specs as you can afford. That's always what you want to go for, and especially if you're talking about distance learning, I would say put a focus on having lots of RAM in your machine.
Yep. And I would, again, I'm not a software engineer, but that is my thing. I want the biggest engine that goes as fast as it can. I want the V12. And so even if I have to sacrifice hard drive space, again, the externals, I've got like 35 million external hard drives around here. I can plug external in there and just save things off. But I want that thing to hum when I'm doing, like right now I've got about 35 tabs open through various things, and I'm still running our meeting tonight through my computer. So I want my computer to hum. Also, again, if you're looking for longevity, I don't want to have to buy another computer for another decade.
Mm-hmm.
This machine is going to last me another 10 years if I need it to. If I can buy another one before that, because I'm financially able to do so, great. But I didn't want to go and buy another computer in a year and a half or 2 years. And again, that RAM deal, when I found out about the first computer I bought when I was in Vegas, only had 8 gigs of RAM, was really angry that I couldn't do a lot of stuff that I wanted to do. And then that next computer, I made sure that I upped a little bit, a couple dollars to make sure things popped off.
And again, going back to the whole like, there's a lot of conversation around, Mac versus Windows, whatever. I think if you're looking at a gaming computer, build your own Windows gaming machine. Like that makes perfect sense. I think for the average user and for teachers in particular, or someone who is newish to technology, even though Macs have a very high upfront price tag, my last Mac lasted for 10 years. So it may have cost me $2,000 up front, but that's $2,000 over 10 years. And that's like $200 a year because I don't pay for operating system upgrades like you have to with Windows. I don't pay for Office. Death to Microsoft Office. Can we please stop using it? It's a terrible product and I don't like it. So I don't use Office. I use the iWork suite, which is free. All the upgrades are free. Or I use Google's products, which are also free. The operating system upgrades are also free.
Mm.
So like you don't have any of that overhead. So people complain about how expensive Macs are up front, but all of the stuff that you have to pay for on a Windows machine, like for one, you're going to have to buy a new Windows machine every 3 to 5 years to begin with. And so even if they're cheap and you're spending like $500 on one, you're going to buy at least two, if not three, over the course of that same 10 years. Plus, you have the $200 or $300 you're spending on your operating system, plus the $200 or $300 a year or every 2 years you're spending on an Office upgrade. So, in the end, is it really that much more expensive? I don't think so. And that's my reasoning for liking Mac machines.
Mac, I can pull it out the box and use it immediately. I don't know. I have
Uh
to,
huh.
it works. That's my.
There's no bloatware. That's another big thing I like about a Mac. On a Windows machine, when I help other people with set up their Windows machines, it's a lot of like deleting these extraneous garbage programs that make it run slow and it's all trashy. You don't have the bloatware on a Mac.
You also can go to pawn shops, man. Like, so I was talking to one of my barbers. He was like, "Look, man, I go and I wait a year or two when a new Mac comes out, and I go right to the pawn shops and I just buy them from the pawn shops." I was like, "That's a great strategy, actually, because those things, if you looked at the specs again, a lot of those they're gonna hold value for a long time. So you don't have to buy when it's. And also on the Apple website, they have verified refurbished devices as well on their website, which are going to outperform most PCs that you're looking at a similar price point. So, not we're both Apple distinguished educators, so that's full disclosure. You know, we're both.
Although we don't receive any compensation
Yeah,
for that,
but
strictly like our opinion. Or you make friends with someone who is more techie than you and just pay for their rejects, like I do with my roommate.
that's another thing you do, and just high five them when you're ready to do what you need to do.
Exactly.
Absolutely true.
I have so many of his tech hand me downs. It's amazing.
Indeed, indeed. No worries, no worries. To teach, to teach.
I think that is a great question to ask. I'm super glad that you asked it because I think this is one of those things that's kind of slipped through the cracks. It's never explicitly taught how you read specifications for computers or software. It's just something that, like, I've picked up along the way. It is an essential skill. It is an essential literacy for these times, and there is no one teaching this. It's assumed that you know it, or you suffer from the fact that you don't and no one helps you with it.
Yeah.
So if there's any bit of this conversation that I think could be helpful for a wider audience, that would be it. I'm hoping between the bandwidth stuff and the computer spec stuff, it's an approachable, like it makes more sense and you feel like that's something that you can tackle on your own.
Indeed, indeed. That's all we got for tonight. We're 20 minutes over, Webs. The marathon show tonight. Marathon
Yeah.
tonight. But thank God we don't have to go to work tomorrow. So that's one thing you'll
Yeah,
get.
you get the bonus 20 minutes.
Yeah, indeed, indeed.
Everybody gets to sleep in.
And then Thursday we're coming back with a brand new show about doing less but accomplishing more in your classroom with the distance learning thing, like like death to the worksheets and all this kind of stuff, that this busy work that people are giving out.
Oh, thanks.
Just like real big ups to all the teachers that are busting their butts. Yes, bust your butts, but let's bust our butts wisely rather than just getting this conveyor belt, this factory style work again, when we should be helping kids be knowledge workers right now and letting them go at their own pace. So we're gonna talk some strategies next on Thursday rather about how those things can be done. Webs, anything left to end with?
You are probably watching us already on either Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. You can also catch us on Instagram. We really need to update that because we haven't in a couple months. Also on our website, we have some blog stuff going up. You can watch live streams there. We've just done a couple updates on it. Our Patreon is live, so you can, if you're looking for, sneak peeks or you want to get a heads up on what we've been working on. There we go. What other stuff are we putting there?
So we're channeling our inner Marvel. So the Thanos situation, the Infinity Gems protocol will be up there probably tomorrow morning. Probably. And that's just kind of looking at how to take again that less is more type idea. How do you take these different tools and put them in one place so it can go at their own pace with Canvas or without Canvas? And that's kind of the big thing. A lot of schools have shifted away from Canvas, especially elementary schools, to Google Classroom. Well, how can we keep all that stuff together? Because Google Classrooms get really, really busy when you start dumping assignment after assignment, task after task there. How can we make sure that those things are linear and they work a lot easier for our students rather than the way that they're looking right now?
And I'm going to be sharing an early release of something that I'm working on, adapting something I used to do in the classroom to distance learning. So I'd love to get your feedback if you're one of our Patreon subscribers, so that I can refine that and then ship it out to you to use in your classroom.
That is it.
And I think that's it.
Good morrow to you. I'm going to eat my dinner.
Indeed.
And
enjoy your day off of laboriousness.
Gloriousness. Indeed.
Yeah.
How'd you do the thing?
Okay.
That is it. God bless America, Belgium, France, and all those other countries that have good food.
And low COVID numbers. Bye, everybody.
See you later.